Love often blossoms where we least expect it, crossing boundaries that seem impossible to bridge. When two people from rival cultural communities fall for each other, their journey is anything but simple, filled with family expectations, language barriers, and the high stakes of choosing each other over centuries of tradition. This is a story of passion versus tradition, of sacrifice and hope, and the incredible ways love can challenge what we believe is unbreakable. Stay with us as we explore a modern love story that defies all odds and shows us what it truly means to embrace differences. The roots of rivalry and cultural differences. Across many regions of the world, long-standing rivalries between cultural communities have roots that run deep, often intertwined with history, religion, language, and social identity. These divisions are not arbitrary, they originate from centuries of competition for resources, territory, and political influence, shaping collective memories and narratives passed down through generations. For example, in regions where border conflicts have persisted for decades or centuries, communities often develop profound mutual suspicion and stereotypes. This historical backdrop influences personal relationships, especially when individuals from these communities attempt to bridge the divide through love. Cultural differences extend beyond history and politics to encompass core aspects of daily life, norms around family hierarchy, gender roles, religious practices, and notions of honor. In some societies, family cohesion takes precedence over romantic choice, especially when the individual's desires conflict with the collective expectations. For instance, in certain Asian and Middle Eastern cultures, arranged marriages and filial piety are highly valued, with family approval often outweighing romantic inclinations. When a couple from rival communities falls in love, these ingrained values can clash fiercely against their personal feelings. Their relationship immediately gains the weight of cultural legitimacy or illegitimacy, depending on the family's viewpoint. Language barriers add another layer of complexity, often reflecting and reinforcing cultural rifts. Even when two individuals speak a common language, dialects, slang, or accents can serve as symbols of their cultural identities or differences. In some situations, the inability to fully communicate or understand subtle cultural references can cause misunderstandings or feelings of alienation, which are magnified during emotional moments, like a declaration of love. For couples navigating these differences, learning each other's languages or dialects becomes more than just functional, it becomes an act of bridging emotional divides and proving dedication. The cost of choosing love across rival communities is not just social but often material and emotional. Families may cut ties abruptly, withdraw financial or social support, or even threaten disownment. In communities where communal bonds are tightly knit, defying traditional expectations can lead to social ostracism, loss of reputation, or violence. The emotional toll can be equally heavy. Each partner must confront fears of betrayal, loyalty conflicts, and the possibility of a future filled with hostility rather than acceptance. Yet, despite these challenges, many couples persist, driven by love's resilience and the hope of reshaping cultural narratives from within, proving that love can sometimes be a quiet act of rebellion against entrenched divisions. The blossoming of love across boundaries. When two individuals from rival cultural communities find themselves entangled in a romantic relationship, the journey is often a complex dance of emotion, negotiation, and resilience. Cultural differences can act as both barriers and bridges, influencing how love is expressed and experienced. For example, in some communities, arranged marriages or strict familial expectations shape the narrative of love, making personal choice a contentious issue. When one person's family expects them to marry within their cultural or religious group, the idea of dating someone from a rival community can be seen as a betrayal of tradition. Yet, beneath these tensions, genuine affection can grow, revealing the universal human desire for connection beyond superficial boundaries. Language differences further complicate the blossoming of love. Communication is the foundation of any relationship, and when two lovers speak different native tongues, misunderstandings can easily arise. For instance, words or gestures that are endearing in one language might carry unintended connotations in another. Sometimes, couples develop their own hybrid language, a mixture of words, phrases and gestures that symbolize their unique bond, and this can become a source of intimacy, a secret language that signifies their rebellion against divisive societal norms. This linguistic bridge often requires patience, and in some cases, couples employ language learning as a shared activity, turning frustration into an avenue for closeness. The social and familial costs of such love are often high. Families can be deeply entrenched in cultural identities that are sometimes incompatible with each other, leading to rejection or ostracism. Stories abound of individuals disowning family ties or facing economic repercussions for defying tradition, such as losing inheritance, housing, or social standing. For example, a woman from a conservative religious community might risk her place in her family by pursuing a relationship with someone from a rival community. These sacrifices become part of the narrative, and the lovers often weigh love's worth against potential social exile. The emotional burden can be heavy, but many are willing to endure these hardships for the chance to forge a relationship rooted in authentic affection and shared understanding. Despite these challenges, love across cultural boundaries can foster profound personal growth and broader societal change. It begins with a small act of courage, sharing a moment of honesty, crossing a cultural threshold, and can gradually erode prejudices. When couples succeed in navigating family expectations, language barriers, and societal pressures, they often serve as living proof that human connection can transcend boundaries. Their stories may inspire others within their communities to question stereotypes or to imagine a future where cultural differences enrich rather than divide. Such love, though costly, can eventually bloom into a symbol of hope and resilience against entrenched divisions, illustrating how vulnerability and perseverance can pave the way for a new understanding. The challenges of family expectations and social pressure. Navigating family expectations in cross-cultural relationships often feels like walking a tightrope stretched over unpredictable ground. For many individuals, familial approval isn't merely a formality but a deep-seated tradition rooted in shared histories, customs, and community bonds. When love blooms between two people from rival communities, these ingrained expectations can suddenly surge to the forefront, demanding a choice that threatens long-standing allegiances. Parents and elders may see the relationship as a breach of cultural purity or a violation of ancestral customs they have preserved for generations. In some cases, families might even resort to public shaming, social ostracism, or disapproval that extends beyond the immediate household, making the relationship a source of shame rather than joy. Social pressure doesn't stop at family boundaries. It often infiltrates the wider community, shaping how outsiders perceive the couple and influencing their decisions. In tightly knit communities, where reputation is especially paramount, couples may face gossip, exclusion, or outright hostility from neighbors and friends. This collective judgment reinforces the notion that their union undermines cultural integrity or perpetuates historical animosities. Some families might also insist that the partner conform to specific customs, changing their name, adopting new religious practices, or distancing themselves from their original community. This pressure, both explicit and subtle, can lead individuals to question whether the love they feel is worth the cultural battles they must fight. The emotional toll can be immense when families and social networks rally against the relationship. For some, this entails a period of intense inner conflict, torn between loyalty to their heritage and the desire for genuine connection. There are stories of partners secretly maintaining their relationship, risking social exile or familial estrangement yet nurturing their love in private. Conversely, others might choose to confront their families head-on, risking fractured relationships for the possibility of authentic partnership. These decisions often come with sacrifice, be it distancing oneself from loved ones or enduring criticism. Nevertheless, for many, love and the desire for a shared life eventually outweigh societal expectations, especially when driven by a belief that their happiness depends on forging their own path despite overwhelming opposition. Overcoming language barriers and communicating love. Language differences can create unexpected hurdles in developing intimacy, especially for couples from rival cultural backgrounds. While love can be universal, the nuances of communication often require effort beyond words. For many, speaking in a shared language, sometimes a second or even third language, becomes an act of bridging worlds. But it's not just about vocabulary, idioms, slang, and tone can carry emotion and context that don't translate easily. For instance, one partner might express affection through warm humor or sarcasm that the other doesn't recognize, leading to misunderstandings or hurt feelings. To navigate this, Couples often immerse themselves in learning each other's languages, not merely for practical communication but as a gesture of respect and commitment. This might involve taking lessons together or practicing daily conversations with patience. For example, a woman from a culture where indirect speech is common might struggle to interpret her partner's straightforward replies, which are typical in his community. Over time, shared language learning evolves into a catalyst for deeper connection, allowing expressions of love that transcend literal meaning. Gestures, tone, and even silence can then become powerful elements of communication, conveying devotion that words might fail to capture. It's also common for partners to develop their own mini-language, an idiosyncratic mix of words, inside jokes, or nonverbal cues. These methods often foster intimacy that isn't easily deciphered by outsiders or even family members. When verbal communication falters, physical touch, eye contact, and shared activities often fill the gap. For instance, a gentle touch or an affectionate glance can speak volumes where words cannot. Overcoming language barriers isn't solely about translating words but about creating a new vocabulary of trust and mutual understanding rooted in patience and willingness to adapt. Finally, cultural differences in nonverbal communication can complicate feelings. What is respectful in one culture might be seen as distant or inappropriate in another. For example, in some communities, direct eye contact is a sign of honesty and affection, while in others, it might be considered intrusive. Learning each other's norms and recognizing that gestures can carry layered meanings requires time and openness. Successful couples often find that humor and shared experiences can ease tensions. Conversations filled with laughter tend to bridge language gaps quicker than formal dialogues. Ultimately, love thrives on the effort made to listen, clarify, and interpret, with patience transforming language barriers from obstacles into opportunities for inventive, meaningful connection. The personal and collective cost of choosing happiness. When two individuals from rival cultural communities fall deeply in love, they often find themselves caught in a web of expectations that extend far beyond their personal desires. The emotional toll of choosing each other can be immense, as they navigate not only their own feelings but also the collective pressures imposed by their families and communities. Family loyalty can mean strict adherence to traditional paths, where marriage within one's own cultural or ethnic group is seen as an obligation rather than an option. This creates a silent but powerful barrier. Families may perceive their child's happiness as secondary to preserving cultural identity and social cohesion, often resulting in heartbreak, shame, or rejection for those who dare to break the mold. Language barriers add another layer of complexity. In many cases, love blossoms between two people who do not share a common first language, making communication a daily challenge. Small misunderstandings can snowball into larger issues, fueling mistrust or frustration. Cultural nuances embedded in language, humor, and social expressions often get lost in translation, creating gaps that can seem insurmountable. Even simple gestures can be misinterpreted, leading to hurt feelings or alienation. For couples navigating these differences, mastering a second language or finding ways to bridge the communication gap becomes an emotional investment often accompanied by feelings of inadequacy or vulnerability. Choosing love across cultural divides also involves significant economic and social costs. Families may expect their members to carry forward specific traditions, maintain community ties, or pursue certain careers, choices that might clash with a partner's background or ambitions. The pressure to conform can mean sacrificing personal dreams or financial stability. In some instances, couples face social ostracization, discrimination, or even threats, which can severely impact their mental and physical well-being. For example, families might refuse to attend wedding ceremonies, refuse to reconcile after marriage, or actively try to dissuade their children from pursuing relationships that challenge long-held beliefs. These sacrifices can lead to feelings of loneliness or regret, making the pursuit of personal happiness a contentious and costly journey. Ultimately, love across cultural boundaries demands resilience and unwavering commitment. The personal reward, shared happiness and growth, must be weighed against the collective costs, which may include estrangement from loved ones, economic hardship, and the ongoing struggle to reconcile different worldviews. Many choose to persevere because they believe that authentic connection outweighs societal constraints. Still, their journey highlights a powerful truth: happiness in love is rarely free of sacrifice, especially when it challenges deeply rooted collective identities. It's a testament to human courage that such bonds often endure, defying the odds and redefining notions of belonging, loyalty, and individual fulfillment. As their story unfolds, we see that love, when rooted in courage and understanding, can bridge even the deepest divides. Despite family expectations, language barriers, and the hefty price of their choice, these two prove that connection is stronger than any obstacle. Their journey reminds us that breaking down walls often begins with small acts of compassion, and that love's true power lies in its ability to challenge boundaries and foster growth. If their story resonates with you, don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. What would you do in their shoes? Stay tuned for more stories that explore the beautiful complexity of human connection across cultures. Thanks for watching, and remember, love is a journey worth taking, no matter the hurdles.